Hello, welcome back to another Tabletop Talk. Today I thought I would do a early review or thoughts I had on the APBA game, the APBA baseball that I bought. So again, this is an early review. I've played a few games with it, and so just kind of comparing it to some of the other games that I have. Sometimes, again, an early review is helpful because what you review after you've played the game for a long time can change and evolve. So I find both types of reviews helpful. So again, I'm coming at this as a relative newbie to the game. Before I get started, just thought it was an interesting thought I had is that your perspective on a game probably has a lot to do with when you jump into it. So, for example, if the first time I had ever played an APBA baseball game was when I was 14 and had never played any cards and dice baseball before, that would be a lot different than where I'm coming at it from now, having been playing cards and dice baseball for a long time and having played a lot of other games, a lot of experience with other games. So I think where you're at in your baseball sim journey has a lot to do with your perspective of a new game when you start trying it. So, having said that, this is my perspective. Where you're at may be different, but take that with a grain of salt and kind of keep that in mind. That how it fits into my baseball sim universe is based again on my experiences and kind of where I'm at in my journey. Um, so I don't know where to start. I got quite a few notes here. Um, I guess the first thing I would say is that I'm enjoying it very much. I'm a little surprised by that. Um, Having watched other people play it, it didn't look like that it had the things in it that I would enjoy in a baseball sim. However, because of where I'm at in my journey and my experience, it actually fits a niche that is kind of not there with some of the other sims. So again, it's kind of fitting a role that I don't really have in any of my other sims. So let me explain that just a little bit. So, like for example, this wouldn't be my desert island game. If I was had to have one game, and I could only have one, it wouldn't be that one because it doesn't check enough of the boxes. But what it does do, at least so far, it does very well, and again in a way that my other sims don't. So far, I've played the basic. I haven't got into the master version, and I guess I can talk about that a little bit. At first, because of what I prefer in a baseball game, I thought that the master version probably would be where I would want to go, and I'm still going to look into it. I'm still going to try to figure that out. However, having played it, there seems to be a pretty good swing from the basic to the master version. And because of what APBA is kind of doing in my baseball sim universe, I'm not for sure the master is something that I'm as interested in as before. So, again, let me explain that just a little bit. What the basic gives me that my other games don't is basically a quick play, and it's not a quick play. I don't like quick play games as such, but it's a quicker play. It's a easier game. It takes less brain power. It gives you your results, and there's not a lot of decision making. So what you're looking for in a sim, and I plan on doing a video about this at one point. It determines a lot of what if the game you have is going to fit that or not. And so for this particular game, one thing I've always wanted to do is to do a complete season replay by playing every game in the season. That seemed like a huge daunting task with the other games that I had. For some reason, because this one is quick enough and simple enough. It would be the most likely one that I could do that with. And matter of fact, with the 46 set I bought, I've already started doing that. With just seeing how it goes. I may decide that I don't like that as much as I thought I did at first, and you know how we start all kinds of projects and don't end up finishing some of them, and some of them we do. But this game lends itself to that, and so um, the master version, what I think I would get out of that, I get out of Stratomatic. I would get out of Inside Pitch. That more detailed. The Stratomatic Super Advanced. It's probably my favorite baseball game of any. Overall, again, there's certain games that do certain things better, in my opinion, but that's my favorite. So, when I want a game that gets into detail like that, the motivation to learn the master game isn't as strong as it was when I first bought it, because then APBA would no longer give me what I'm looking for and what I'm getting out of the basic game. And so, if I wanted something more detailed, something that gets more in depth, gets and more ratings oriented, and more individual, I would play my Strat Super Advanced. So hopefully that makes sense. So again, I bought the master, and I'm going to try to look into it. But I'm not, having got into it and playing the basic. Again, I think the motivation isn't as strong as it was, because then I'm just basically playing Strat Super Advanced, and then all the things I want in the game I get there, and I already know that game very well. So hopefully that makes sense. So the game does lend itself to modification, and there's a whole world there I haven't delved into. I did. One guy did send me the Merino boards, which I've been looking at, which is kind of a hybrid. And then you got, I guess, Skeeter Soft, the NP NG Plus is kind of a pretty close derivative from APBA, as I understand. So there's a lot of ways you can add to the game and get it more detailed, oriented. But again, I don't really have a lot of motivation to do that right now, because again, I'm enjoying the basic. It gives me, again, something that I'm not getting in my other games, and to try to learn more in depth, it's just I would just play Strat, or Payoff Pitch or Replay, those games. If I want to get into that, and I already know those games, without having to learn something, I guess my thought is that learning the master game, or even these other things, what they would give me, I already have in other games that I own. Whereas the basic, I guess you could say that Strat Basic would kind of do what the APBA Basic does, but it's different. With Strat, I just can't bring myself to play Basic, because I know the Super Advanced. And probably if I learned the master version of APBA, it would be the same thing. But because I'm coming into APBA so late in the game, I'm happy with the basic for now, and again, we'll see, what the master holds in the future. So as far as the gameplay, if I was looking for a game where I wanted to manage the team against other teams and try to improve their record, for me, this game wouldn't do that. A couple reasons. Number one, there's no computer version. So in order to do that, as much as I like, I would have to do Replay or Stratomatic, because of the cards and dice games I own. Those are the only two that have computer managers. Even if I was playing solitaire, cards and dice, and I was I really cared about a particular team, I would want more detail than you get with the basic. So, for example, you have the team rating, defense, and then so obviously a good defensive shortstop makes the team defense better, but it doesn't affect that shortstop individually. And again, I kind of like that. It's different. Like I've said in one of the game videos I was doing, it reminds me a little bit of History Maker Baseball, in that there's kind of generic things, and it affects it, but not as detailed as Stratomatic, where You got the range, you got the E rating, you got the arm rating for a catcher, you've got their throwing error rating. I mean, there's just a lot of detail. Their stolen base rating, if they can get a lead rating. So, all those things that I really enjoy are in Strat. But for APBA, the basic, it's more like watching the game. So, like, for example, in my 1946, with that, I don't really have a particular team I'm rooting for. I'm just like reliving the season. And so I get enough of the ratings that make a difference in the gameplay, but not so much that it bogs it down. And that's a really big deal. The time it takes to play, the brain power it takes to play, equals, the enjoyment you get out of it, how much detail, and everybody has a different balance there. But for me, so far doing the replay of the 1946 season, doing every game. The game itself is simple enough, but yet detailed enough for me that I'm enjoying it very much. But again, if I was wanting to, on my bucket list is to replay the 1953 through 65 Milwaukee Braves, their whole history. They never had a losing season. I wouldn't do that with APBA because that's something I want more detail. I want to get into it more, and ideally having even a computer manager. So Strat probably would be the way I would go for that particular project. So, but reliving the season, it's great. I've been. I didn't think I would like, like 6-6 usually being a home run. There's a lot of, quite often you can have the same card and get the same result. I've seen like a couple times I forgot to switch the card, and then when I remembered that I had the wrong card, the result was the same. And so I thought that would bother me, but with what I'm trying to accomplish with this particular game, the goal I have in mind, it doesn't, because the results are remarkably so far very good. I've had 3 games where the scores were exact like they were in real life, and so far the offense seems to be about the same level. The players, Ted Williams is kicking butt so far, so it feels like baseball, and the chart-driven results are kind of cool because it's exciting because when you get the bases empty, the results are different than if the bases are loaded, and so there's kind of an excitement that builds when you get runners on base. And I'm sure that the more you play, the more you kind of memorize it. But again, the situation changes what happens, so that gives it enough variety that I'm not feeling like it's a stale game. And again, even the cards themselves, again, Cards and Dice, Tony at Cards and Dice TV did a really good video about the appeal of the APBA cards, especially when they didn't have the stats and things like that on it. And I thought that was very interesting. And so I probably will delve into some of the older cards, to try to get that appeal, because the ones I bought were the ones that came from the company and they got the stats and everything. But still, that appeal was a very good video. Check that out if you haven't. So let's see. I'm jumping around here. So another good thing about that I love about APBA is that they have all of the seasons available. Now they, the cards vary. You especially when you buy things that they printed in the past. You can have stats on the cards. You cannot have stats on the cards. Some of them don't even have the year that you have. So again, there's a variety there. I prefer, it to be static, but you can get any season that I think from 1900 to now, and that is great. Being a Stratomatic guy, we've talked about the frustrations of being a Stratomatic fella, especially if you like to collect seasons, the frustrations with that. So, because all the seasons are available, the secondary market is great. So actually you can get some good deals from people who, are looking for, new seasons. Whereas with Stratomatic, if you get a season that's out of print, you're going to pay a lot of money for it. So you have a lot more options. The secondary market is much better with APBA. So I like that. I like that a lot as a consumer. That appeals to me way much better. I know that's probably not good English, than Strat's business model does. So I like that. So again, with the quick play, you can get more games, and the flow is just really good. That surprised me. That's one thing that you can't really get from watching it watching somebody else play. When I actually have the cards in my hand and the book and the table and rolling the dice, there's just a flow that feels like baseball. I mean, it reminds me a little bit of when I first started Strat way back in the day. There's just the game is designed in a way that it just flows and it just feels fun, and that was one reason that made me purchase this game, is because for it to have been around as long as it has, there must be something to it, And I know every game is not everybody's cup of tea, but I just wanted to add it to my collection because that impressed me, for it to be. I mean, it's been here longer than any of them, as far as I know, and it's still going strong, got loyal following, so there must be something to it. And I having played it, I see what it is. It's just the flow and the cards in your hand. It just gives you that experience that cards and dice people really enjoy. So for me, it's really good. So I'm enjoying it a lot. The variety that you get on the replay on the charts is really good. Uh, Again, I'm still relatively new, but it feels like the outs are distributed well. The results are really cool. You got all the things like caught stealing, and again, I could see how that like somebody steals a base. Now if you get an 11, that's based on your stats, but you can get a stolen base where it doesn't matter who's on base. If they're average or fast or maybe even slow, that they are going to steal the base, and that bothers some people, and it would bother me. Again, if it was my only game, I would want more than that. But with what it's filling in my baseball sim life, I'm fine with it. It's just, again, results driven. It's a lot like being at the game and watching it, and when you have a guy steal, he gets caught stealing. You could say, well, he would never get caught stealing. But again, it's flowing well enough that it does. It just feels like watching a game, and I'm surprised by the results. And it's fun to watch the game unfold. And again, this isn't if you're wanting to really delve into managing. This probably is not going to be quite there. At least for me, it isn't. But for giving me that watching the game experience, to me, it's just really good. Um, for me, the cards are pre-cut and organized, which is a big deal for me. As I know a lot of people enjoy separating the cards. I'm not one of them. I like the smoothness of pre-cut cards. And the size of the cards are good. Again, I thought, having watched people play it, that they were bigger. They look bigger on TV, like I said in my opening. But they feel good in your hand. The layout is nice. There is an appeal and an aesthetic to it. But they're actually in alphabetical order, and they're in their teams. They do put the traded players with the team they played last. So if you're doing as played, which I am, I just have to get on Baseball Reference and find out which team they ended up with, and then put them on the team they started with, which isn't a big deal. The set I have, again, which is the 1946, has every player that had one at bat or one inning pitched, or a third of an inning pitched. So I like that. They got everything there. So that's a big deal for a lot of people, and that set I have. And again, as I looked at their sets, not all of them have that. There are a few that only have like 400 players, so not every season has that option. So do your research to, if that's something you're wanting, then you might want to look and see, that make sure that you're getting that, because not all seasons have that. I think the ratings are good. Again, I've only had the 1946 season, which I don't know a lot about, but what baseball history I know, they do seem like they're, in the ballpark and pretty accurate. Again, in this particular game, in the basic game, they're not as big of a deal because it's more generic, again, like History Maker is. So, but so far I've not seen anything that make me cringe. Again, there's a couple games I own where the the ratings, the defensive ratings and speed ratings, bother me a bit, quite a bit actually, because to me that's an important part of the experience. Um, the price, they're a little high as far as the market goes, with the shipping and everything. I know, like, to get the game and the master board in one season, it was, pushing 150. So they are expensive, but again, if you can find people who are looking to sell or trade, you can do a little better than you can with Strat, because again, they're not charging 3 times what it's worth because it's out of print. So now some of the original sets, obviously, you're gonna pay a little bit more for those because of the nostalgia factor and the that kind of thing. But so again, this is the only hobby I have, and so all my hobby money goes to this because this is the only hobby I have. I don't have expensive cars, I don't get watches, I don't buy a lot of clothes, so this is kind of my thing. Customer service, I haven't had a lot with them yet, but so far I haven't had any major issues. I do know that they don't ship as quick as Strat does, and it could be because I know that they are already issuing their 2021 season, so it could be that they've got a big, that's why they're not shipping as quick as Strat is right now. Because I know when Strat, obviously, when they get into February and they start shipping their 2021 sets, things slow down. So that could be where APBA is right now, because I know their 2021 set is out. So that could be why that is. And again, it's not a great big deal. They came and they were packaged nice, as you guys see. Um, so, um, as far as the cards, giving you the envelopes for the cards is a big deal. So that does give you some value for your price. With Strat, you have to make your own. These come already with envelopes, and so I think that's a good deal. So anyway, those were kind of the thoughts I had early on. Just wanted to share that. Enjoying it very much. Again, I appreciate all the feedback, and we'll see about the master version because of the things I've already stated. I'm not as gung-ho about that as I was. And again, even the merino boards, if I'm interested in that, I feel like I can get that exact same thing from Strat, or one of my other games that I have. But again, I could be wrong, and I am going to look into it because I bought it. And so as usual with most games, I'm looking into getting some of the other seasons. Maybe trying to find, a retro season that doesn't have the stats on them, just to kind of get the full APBA experience. And but again, I'm glad I made, I'm glad I made the purchase. It's given me something that I wasn't getting in my other games. I can knock out some games pretty quick. I can get, possibly get a season replay. And again, it's detailed enough as again, if I'm wanting to observe the game, not manage the game as much, it's given me everything I need to have a good, fun experience. So, as usual, any comments are appreciated, and anything I might have missed. I know every time I do one of these, I think of something after the fact. But these were the basics, and just wanted to share, and appreciate everybody's feedback and kind words as usual. So I thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.